let's
Mm,
get this show on the road. Good
as it were.
evening, everyone. Thank you. We are here, doing a really quick react to what
Off the cuff.
off the
Yan ba?
cuff
Off the cuff.
after seeing one of the shows we've talked about previously, one of the things that we've been anticipating. But before we get into that, let us go in as always. Introduce ourselves. I am Arnold, and I have the guys with me today. Guys, introduce yourselves.
What's up? Hi, it's Joel here.
Hey everyone, it's Paul.
Excellent. And tonight we're doing a the first of a mini series of
Mini series.
that's what it yeah, I guess it'll be a mini series of quick reacts to
Ah.
a TV show that we've decided to follow and watch and do reacts to as soon
Mm-hmm.
as we finish watching. And the title of this mini series will be Glorious Reacts, and this is because we are reacting to Loki.
Loki.
All
Is
right.
it because you lifted the title of the first episode?
Nah. What made you think
No,
about
no,
that?
we didn't even know the title of the.
Completely
Yeah.
original thought.
Okay.
So let's dive right into it. Episode 1 just aired, guys. We've been waiting for this for the past, I don't know. When did Falcon and the Winter Soldier finish? Was
3 weeks ago?
March? No.
No,
No? It felt like that
no.
was
Uh,
3 weeks ago.
was it March or April? I think it was April.
April. I
And
think
then
it
we
was
had
April.
the
Really? It
Yeah,
was that long?
that was
we
I
didn't
long.
have an MCU
May
thing during
during May. Yeah,
April.
did
everybody.
not feel that long, to be
Mhm.
honest.
And now we're finally here. They brought the date a little closer, which was nice of them. But we still had to wait, and now it's here, so we're reacting.
Yeah.
Episode 1 just dropped earlier today with the title "Glorious Purpose."
Wow, I
Sounds
think they lifted
familiar.
from the title that you had
I
for
know
What
our
they should
what
have.
a
podcast.
coincidence.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic, isn't it? So let's go and quickly bury our faces in Tom Hiddleston, and
We'll leave that to you. I think. We'll leave that to you. Yeah.
fine. Um, First, real quick, firing off the cuff, as Paul mentioned, react. What is your first reaction with the show? Let's start with you, Paul.
I'm trying to recall, but
It was
there's
just a couple of minutes ago.
yeah, I know. But the thing is, I'm trying to process the whole thing pre-show. So a little bit of background. Just not. I don't want to veer off the question, but I just watched it. Like I just finished watching it a few minutes ago, because they actually planned the video on the spot. Initial reaction. I like that it's very quick. The pacing of the show. They
Yep.
did a lot in a whole hour. Well,
Yes.
Less than an
50
hour.
minutes. Yeah,
Yeah.
less than an hour. So it makes the Falcon and the Winter Soldier as well as One Division feel slow
The
because
pacing.
of the pacing.
Mm.
All
And
right.
because of that, it I feel like we're gonna cover a lot of things in the number of episodes that we're gonna have, because I think we're getting a lot of episodes.
Oh,
Huh?
six. We're only
Six.
getting
It's six. Huh?
six.
We're only
Really?
getting six.
I
Yeah.
Yes,
thought it was
but
double that. Okay.
No.
no, that's the thing. So 6, but I'm not sure if it's following the same format as Falcon and the Winter Soldier, wherein we're getting somewhere in the region of 50 minutes per episode. So it's quite
Okay.
possible that
Well, at
we are
least
still
I think they
getting more
already
content.
confirmed that the second episode is also around 50 minutes.
We already have early feedback, non-spoiler feedback from media outlets about episode 2. So you're probably on the money on that one. Not sure about the other 4, but yeah, I do agree with the pacing. So we might end up feeling like we're getting more content because of how quickly the story has moved from its natural start,
Yeah.
and to where it is currently now. So it's established a lot of things. Joel, thoughts
Yeah,
like
well,
off the cuff?
well, no, I need to just add a little bit to that because I think that it was Kevin Feige who said that this series, Loki, is actually gonna be the one that's going to influence Phase Four, or at
Oh,
least the entire MCU the most, as compared to Falcon and the Winter Soldier and WandaVision. So, uh, given that, I think that we know that the shenanigans that Loki is gonna get into throughout
shenanigans.
these 6 episodes are gonna have uh, effects, or is going to affect all the rest of the titles that they're going to come up with in Phase Four. Now, Phase Four and Phase Five, I think. Uh, Now, initial reaction. I, my first the first thing that got me was uh the title sequence of Loki. As soon as I saw because we've seen it in the teasers that
The
is
shifting
all of these the shifting letters, but they
typefaces,
were
yeah.
all in color. They were all in
Yes.
color,
Yep.
and it was all bright and everything like that. But when it came out in this episode, it was muted. It was almost Zack Snyderish. Uh,
It was like a reel,
it's
right? Like those
it was
old
like a real
projector reels.
for me it gave me the effect of, yeah, I think that that's on purpose, that it gave that projector feel. It gave me the feeling, although I never really watched it, it gave me a Twilight Zone feel.
Ah,
And I
never
think
thought
that's
of
the
that.
genre that they're going for here. They're going when in WandaVision they went for sitcom that veered into horror. Uh, Falcon and the Winter Soldier was your spy thriller thing. This is sci-fi. This is sci-fi. The entire thing, the entire time, I was getting those that eerie sci-fi feel. Especially, I'm going to go into the music as well. The music that they chose, you'd have these long notes, which is typical of eerie sci-fi shows. Almost like a theremin.
Mm. I think it is a
It's almost like a
theremin.
theremin.
It
It
can't
is a
be.
theremin. Yes, yeah.
It has to be. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Has to be.
yeah, it sounds like that, and it immediately gets me, especially if it's a theremin. It immediately hits you as like, this is a sci-fi show, because that's where you typically hear that kind of sound.
That
Yeah, yeah,
nice shout out to, although they didn't use a theremin in the Star Trek, the original series opening theme. I think it was some girl singing. Very close to that, and I do
yes,
agree. It's gotten that vibe. Excellent. So we general consensus. We've seems like we've first episode. We really like where it's going. Right. We're really like
Really
where
enjoy it. Yeah.
what
yeah,
pace it's setting. We're really liking what feel, what like new technique. The people, the very creative people at Disney are doing with this TV show. We have talked at length in one of our longer episodes about these the One Division the Falcon Winter Soldier and Loki. That they each have their own like flavor of how they're delivering, as Joel pointed out, and this seems to be another excellent delivery that we're about to experience.
Right.
Now, let's tease out a few main things that they have introduced. Let's start with the most familiar, I guess. Let's start with Loki himself. So we catch him right after he teleports out of uh,
2012.
2012 Battle of
Endgame.
New York.
New York.
Exactly, when
Basically that end game scene.
that end game scene wherein we just like, what? Clearly, they've left that thread unsnipped. But Feige had a plan, and we were like, "What is the plan?" There is now a Loki floating around that is from the past, and now we get to see what happens. Um, he shows up in Mongolia. That was funny. I actually thought that you'd go straight to what they were showing in the trailers, but no, he shows up somewhere there and starts going on on his spiel, and I think it was very
Yeah.
important because they want to remind everybody of who 2012 Loki was,
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
because of everything that's happened to our lovely Loki. That we see by Endgame, by Infinity War and Endgame. So that's a different kind of Loki. And this one obviously is different as well. So they've established that, and then we go straight into the first new thing that they've introduced to the MCU, the TVA. Anybody here else
Time
actually have
variance
an
authority. Yeah?
familiar with what the TVA was prior to actually seeing this on screen? Because I
Nope.
wasn't. No.
No.
I have no idea what TVA is.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I have a different. I'm familiar with the DC time. Their time. I think I don't remember what they have there.
Are
Just
there time
Legends of
authority
Tomorrow.
of
Time
some sort?
Masters.
They have one. Time is
Yeah.
such a fantastic topic that comics have covered it since time immemorial. Oh, puns.
Ooh, wow, fun.
So TVA, the time variance
Authority.
authority,
Yeah.
Authority.
and we meet three very important people who will be seeing. We meet Owen Wilson's character Mobius M. Mobius. We'll more into that later. We also meet who was we also meet uh, Mbatha Raw's character, Renslayer. What was her? Ravonna Renslayer, which I
Yeah.
believe is she was acting as a judge in that particular scene. And then we
Yeah.
also get to meet. Oh, I'm so happy I'm seeing her again. Um, Unmi Mosaku is showing up again after her great performance in Lovecraft Country. So I'm seeing her again. She's that lovely Hunter B15, the one who brings in Loki for the first time.
You didn't mention the Pinoy Pride guy there.
Yeah.
I was okay. Go ahead.
Cordero.
Tell- Corey, I hope we see more of him. Really.
Yeah.
Quick side note: Corey was there. He was funny. He was very interesting. The Filipino Pride. Hey, look at that.
He shows
More.
up in Super Store.
Oh, I don't know that. I
No,
haven't seen
he's in the Good Place
Oh, okay. Yes, now I remember.
with the
Okay,
other
The Good
Pinoy
Place.
guy there.
With the other Filipino guy. Yeah.
Also, he's been around. This is actually my first time seeing it because I've never seen the. Yes, no, you can call me. You can call me, kind of like uncultured for not watching the Good Place. My wife does, but I haven't had the fun. the
Superstore.
chance.
You should watch Superstore as well.
There's another
so
Pinoy
much.
character there
Yeah,
as
So
well.
much to
the
watch.
guy who's in Crazy Rich.
Oh my gosh, I haven't even seen Crazy Rich.
You should watch that as well. It's really
Before
nice.
we fly off the rafters. Okay.
Like
Uh,
always.
as always, thoughts on the TVA. We can leave M Mobius for a bit. Thoughts on the TVA, what we've discovered about them. If you like to point out a few things about Hunter B15, that's cool. If you have any thoughts about Ravonna, that will be cool too. She hasn't had her airtime. I'm sure we'll be seeing more of her later on.
Especially after Ant-Man, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, my comments will be about the whole TV, how it looked like, how it felt to me. It felt as if I was dropped into a 70s or 80s government office.
The
With the brown
bureaucracy in
walls.
this show is
Yes.
just like a recurring visual theme. I love it.
Yeah, everything was like okay. Things had to be followed. Yeah, yeah. The
Procedure.
even the queue up to even the
Picking
queue up to
the ticket. I like the ticket.
the ticket. They had to go through a thing before they
Even though
couldn't just
there's
go
only two
straight.
of them.
You have to follow
Yeah,
process.
it was like it was made. It was a point for them to actually go through the different barriers
Yeah.
to get to the front. Yeah,
And watching the video.
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yes. Oh yeah, I forgot to
yeah.
point out that
That
there's another character
that
there.
yeah, Miss Minute.
Miss
Yeah,
Bennett,
who
Tara Strong.
actually, and it's kind of weird that Miss Minute responded to Loki as if Miss Minute was
Sentient.
alive and actually sentient and listening in, because she said
Ooh.
she responded to what Loki was saying and started the whole video. Uh,
Don't you
yeah.
love her southern accent? Somebody pointed out. I think it was one of the new Rockstar guys. It was Eric Voss who pointed out that she sounded almost exactly. It's like the female version of Doctor DNA from Jurassic Park One.
Oh yeah, and
Oh.
that might have been an homage of
Homage,
some sort.
quite possibly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, personally, I could almost smell the stagnant air. Had it not been for that scene where
Like the
where
80s carpet is like
Mobius,
smelling it.
yes, had it not been for that scene where Mobius and Loki got to that window, that open window,
Oh yeah.
I would have felt really stuffy, and that gave me that vibe, that whole feel. And then even as Loki was going down, entering into the different levels of the TVA, it was so cramped. There wasn't really any space, so it really gave you that vibe that okay, you're in this space, you're here, you're in that confined space. Yeah, and I think that was I hope that was what they were going for.
I definitely felt that as well. It's like going through one of those. It's definitely felt like going through one of those offices in Makati during the 80s when
I've
I
been
remembered.
well, actually, I've been in an office like that where the
Exactly.
walls are all wooden panels,
Yes, yes.
wooden brown wooden panels. Yeah,
I wouldn't be
been in an office.
surprised if you just look at the sides. It, strangely enough, it has a sense of space, but at the same time still felt claustrophobic.
Mm.
I don't know how they managed to do that. It was fantastic. Paul.
Hmm. I like the aesthetic overall. It feels very old, and it's a great big contrast to their aesthetic of the whole office is oldish, but they have such great power
Mm-hmm.
where they can contain and they eliminate like any magical power. They can make your tesseract or your infinity stones
Useless.
useless. They're
Here, have
used as
one.
paperweight.
Exactly.
So it's so contrasting to how they're shown. So
Mm.
the amount of power they wield and the aesthetic that they chose to go with in the office space that they have.
Hmm.
Uh, Apart from that, it felt very the place, even though there's only two of them being processed, it felt very um you had to follow the strict order that they give you, that they set for you.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason Loki wasn't judged that very minute was because of Owen Wilson's character, where we're gonna go in later. But the TVA as an office, as a branch, as an aesthetic, it seems like at surface level they're just doing things procedurally, but I think at the back end, which is what we're probably going to witness later on, there's something there. It feels like there's something sinister that's there.
Mm-hmm.
Because even Loki says that outright when he was looking through the window, like, "Who are you?"
Exactly.
Like, because he was looking out this whole gigantic space, and he's looking at flying cars, and which I love that scene, by the way. When
Mm-hmm.
I hope if you watch, I feel like if you watched it in IMAX, it would have been like a great shot.
Oh, like you'd feel how
Mm.
expansive it
Like
is outside.
if the camera would pan out just to see what Loki is seeing, the perspective that he's looking at,
Hmm.
because he was just like witnessing the whole thing. And so yeah, I mean, I feel like there's something sinister underneath all that, which I think we're gonna find out later on.
Ooh, we have our first theory already. Something
Yeah,
sinister going
I have
on.
a question though. I have a
Yeah.
question, and I think it in the video of Miss Minute and throughout the entire episode, we see that most, if not all, of the employees of the TVA are humanoid. they're
Human.
humans.
Yes, they're human.
But apparently the timekeepers are reptilian, or at least
Reptilian.
Loki describes them as
Yeah,
reptilian.
reptilian masters. Yep.
And uh the employees aren't like, they're not recruited, right? They're like, are they made? Are they, yeah, that's that I
That, that that's a good question.
yeah.
Let's keep
And
that to the back.
and I was asking that myself when we had that sequence with Corey and Loki was trying to get the Tesseract back, right? And he was like, I don't. He
That's
doesn't
a
know what a
fish.
fish is, right?
Yeah.
And he says that. Well, I've been behind the desk, working behind the desk for
All my life.
all my life. So it's interesting to know that they have a concept of life, but what does that life mean? Because time
Mm.
works differently in the TVA,
Mm.
or
In
actually
yeah,
even
and
also-
which Owen Wilson keeps repeating.
he keeps repeating that
Yeah.
exactly. They have a lot of these interesting gadgets that are obviously related to time, and it's a very stark contrast because obviously with all that bureaucratic crap, all that red tape, you feel everything slowed down
Mm.
because for
Mm.
you to move from point A to point B. It seems like there's a lot of steps to. We have that scene with here. Please sign, confirming
Everything
that
he's
this is
ever
everything
said.
you've ever said, and there's this like dot matrix printer that prints out
And
the
it's a dot
moment you say
matrix.
it's a dot
Yeah.
matrix, not exactly the fastest thing. And I was getting this really interesting contrast of how slow things might seem because
Mm.
bureaucracy, but the
Right.
Mm.
pacing of the story was so quick.
Mm.
And and just thinking about that now made me think that hey, I would have felt confused and conflicted, but I did not, which is
Mm.
already something that makes me feel excited because they're able to express both the slowness of things, but at the same time there's a quick pace to it. So they're definitely really using time not only as a motif to what the TVA does, which is to fix these time problems, but at the same time they're making you feel that as a as a person who's watching the show,
Mm.
you're dragged. You feel the slowness of the bureaucracy, but at the same time you feel the quickness of how the story is progressing
Mm.
without
Yeah.
feeling too harassed by it.
Yeah.
Now let's go to Mobius M. Mobius. Thoughts on Owen Wilson? I mean, I love the guy. I'm just so happy that he finally is in the MCU. I mean, and he seems like a very, very interesting person. First thing he does is sits down with our lovely Loki variant. Let's call him Loki variant Loki. Because later on, that becomes a more important term.
Yes.
And the first thing he does is he wants to understand who Loki is. Who is this guy? Who is
Mm.
Mobius M. Mobius? What you guys think?
Well, I think that he's like probably if you have like the guards. So what do you call them? What do they
The
call them?
Minutemen.
The Minutemen. If
Mm-hmm.
you have the Minutemen, he's like, they would be your cops. He's like a detective.
Ah,
Just like in the police station, you have your uniforms, and then you have your detectives.
yeah.
He's like a
Oh,
detective because actually that's the first scene that we see him in.
Yeah.
He's investigating that thing in France.
a crime
Yeah.
scene in the
Uh,
past.
yeah. Yeah. So that's my impression of him. I don't know him. I'm going into this. I think all of the three of us are going into this series without having
I
any
just love that
knowledge at
name
all
though.
of
I just love that name.
Mobius.
Mobius. And
M
Mobius.
M
Mobius M.
Mobius
Mobius,
M
which is
Mobius.
probably also a Mobius. Yeah.
It's a never-ending loop,
Yes, which is the Mobius loop.
which is a Mobius loop. Exactly.
Yeah.
But the thing is with the Mobius loop, that has only one side. That is a shape, if you could call it a shape, that only has one side.
Mm.
But it seems like Mobius and Mobius is a lot deeper than
Yeah.
just having one flat side.
Mm.
Yeah.
As a character, you
As a
mean?
character, yeah. I mean, how did he come across to you, Paul, when he was doing all that psychobabble thing, when he was trying to break into that hard shell, that tough exterior that Loki has put up?
No, but for me though, the whole scene where, because it starts off from Owen Wilson talking to the judge,
Mhm.
asking for permission which we don't know immediately what it was for, but they have this back and forth where this is a bad
Mm.
idea. Well,
Mm.
if anything happens, it's on you. And he
Yeah,
says, like, he
clearly
gives her a compliment.
Renslayer wasn't believing that he would variant Loki would actually be of any use.
Of any, yes. So, and then they go back and forth, and he gives her a compliment before leaving, right, and taking Loki with him. And for the whole scene, I believe, is really more for recruitment. So I think he's a very good detective, because at the back of his head, with this Loki, and we're gonna go more into that statement. The first thing he thinks of is to be able to stop what's happening, because we come to this. The or for us, when we see him the first time, he was investigating a murder, like Joel was saying. And for he was thinking that Loki can help him catch whoever's doing it, because he already knows who's doing it.
Mm.
Yes, yes. They're
So
just having
so for
trouble
me, the
getting to
whole
the person
scene
on time.
was, yeah. So for me,
Funny,
the
no?
whole
Funnily
scene
enough.
is really more of trying to recruit a Loki on his side, right? So
Yeah.
for me. I mean, that's very one dimensional right now. So we'll see more later on, I feel, because they don't want to show all their cards yet,
It's
right?
like the
Yeah.
fire versus fire, use fire against fire kind of
Yeah.
technique.
And
And you're
I have a feeling where he was trying. The reason why he was asking all of those questions is he because he that's his job, right? He knows all of these things, right, that we are not
privy to
we
yet.
don't know
Yep.
about. Yeah, we're not
Mm.
privy to. So for him, he was trying to look at the timelines, and he was trying to look for a Loki that's similar to the Loki that we had witnessed in Endgame,
Mm.
Oh.
Okay.
because
Oh.
that
In Infinity
Loki,
War, you mean?
yeah, that Loki was a hero for everyone who
Yeah,
watched that
he had
movie,
gone through
right?
his whole redemption arc
Right.
already.
And I think that's the reason why he also pulled up all of those images from that other life, because he wanted to see
Oh.
what the
From the main
reaction,
life.
right, from the main life,
To
because he wanted to see
possibly fast
possibly
forward his redemption.
the redemption arc. But I don't know if it worked though, because it was weird, the reaction at the very end. So like
Yeah.
midway, the mom, Freya, Odin, the him helping out Thor,
Mm.
all of throughout that scene, his face looked like he was in pain and he wanted
Mm.
redemption. But at the point of his death, it kind of
It changed. It
I
changed.
don't know if it was only for me, but it looked like there was something else there.
Mm.
It. I think that what Paul is talking about hits on what I believe is one of the main themes of this, at least one of the main themes that the series is going to tackle. Because we have on one side the TVA, you've got the timekeepers who dictate how time is supposed to flow, the sacred.
They're calling it the
We're gonna
sacred.
jump on your topic,
No,
Arnold.
no, that's all right. That's all right.
Yeah, you have got the timekeepers, these three guys three individuals who dictate how time is supposed to flow, right?
Yep. Yep.
So basically, they're telling, and then they bring this down to the judge who passes out sentences
Mm-hmm.
on those
Go break
who
from it. Mm-hmm.
break
The
away
Yeah.
from
variants.
that time. The variants. Uh, and and what was my point? so so you've got the TVA on one side, and then you've got the variant, you've got Loki on the other side, uh, who who insists that he has dominion over his choices.
Yep.
His choices are his own.
Yep.
He even asserts that my
Yeah.
choices are my own.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it really goes into that theme of destiny versus free will,
Mm,
predestination versus free will,
right.
as dictated by the timekeepers. And actually, I agree with you, Paul, when you say that there seems to be something sinister happening behind the scenes.
Mm.
Like, yeah, but my entire question while watching and rewatching it was okay, we've got these three people who supposedly have this authority over what is supposed to happen. Who says that who gave them that authority?
Mm.
Right.
Who, diba? Who died and made them God,
There's an
Right.
interesting
basically.
backstory to that in the comics, and I'll just go it real quick. And I only know this as third hand information. I haven't actually read anything related to it. It's more of just like I was interested in reading about who these um, timekeepers were. But in the comics, apparently, a previous
The last,
universe has ended, and probably badly. And the what was his name?
he
The
who shall remain.
he who has remained, or something like that.
Yeah,
Some odd
they've got all of that in Marvel. They're
Voldemort
like
naming
gods of gods, or like
who
he
who
who.
survived this
Yeah.
previous iteration of the universe, and decided that, hey, okay, I need to do something for this new iteration, ours, or sorry, the MCU's. And one of the things he did was to actually create the timekeepers, specifically to make sure that whatever happened to the previous universe will not happen to the MCU ones. And this could be what they will be touching on. We're not sure yet. Um,
On
but
phase 4
on not
or
necessarily,
throughout phase 4.
it could be in Loki. They may establish this as something that's happening in the back end. I don't know if we'll eventually see it bleed into the movies. If Joel did point out that it's quite possible we'll be seeing repercussions from Loki spread out across all of Phase 4 and even Phase 5. So yeah, sure, that might be the sinister thing that's sort of like scratching at the edges
Mm.
of your um of your subconscious, telling you that there's something obviously wrong. I'd like to go back real quick to Loki's fast forwarded redemption.
Mm.
Um, Very hard for him, obviously, because of how strongly he reacted to Freya's death.
Death, yep.
Mm.
Clearly understanding that, at the very least, in the original prime Loki, the original one, had time to process this, uh, and he understood that it was his fault. Whereas variant Loki was seeing this occur without him actually being part of it. So it
Mm.
is like,
Mm.
okay, by the way, a version of you killed your mom, and it's totally your fault, but really it's not. Yeah, but you can't really blame him because it wasn't variant
Yeah.
Loki's
No, but
Yeah.
his doing.
Mobius made it a point to say that this is what should happen.
Oh yes, true.
Mm.
This is as it should happen.
Mm.
So yeah,
One
if
of
you
the
had
things.
continued on your life, this is
Mm.
what you would have done.
Yep.
There would
Exactly.
have been no way for you to veer away from it. This is what would have happened.
Yep.
Exactly. Now I'm just pointing out that it's quite possible for this theme to also occur, to become one of the things that will make him challenge the timekeepers. This is one of the theories. I'm gonna put it down real early. I feel that one of the things that he will try to do, or at the very least establish in this series, is that he will
Bring his
rebel
mom.
against the machine. He will
Mm. Mm.
raise his fists against the authority, that's the TVA slash the timekeepers, and try to regain control of, or to regain that sense of free will.
Yeah.
It may be a moot point, but I think that will be one of the things that will be pervasive across all of these episodes. He won't just sit back, because we saw him there. We saw him later in the episode after he's reviewed everything, after he's seen his own death, sits down and says, "What's the point?" Right?
Yeah.
Mm.
I have this.
And
Defeated.
He
yeah.
feels super defeated, right? He has
Mm.
this tesseract in his hand and he can't even use it. And there's
You can,
apparently
Yeah.
in somebody's
They
drawer,
came
there's
across like tons of
a drawer
not just
full of
Infinity
one
it.
set,
Stones.
not just
Yeah.
one set of Infinity Stones, but
Yeah.
tons. I mean, a couple of sets of
That
Infinity
was
Stones.
that was so interesting. I was like, why would they need to point that out? And this part, that scene was establishing that in the end, all of these things, that wars are being fought, people are being killed,
Are
um,
trivial.
are trivial in the face of
TVA.
the TVA. Okay, cool.
Right.
Okay, so we clearly have some. These things are obviously just established in the first. We are wondering what Mobius M. Mobius, if there's a story, if there's an other side to Mobius M. Mobius, or if he's really just the good cop who wants to do his job, and
He's yeah. I actually
find
think
out.
that he's kind of subversive,
Nick,
in the
that's
sense that he's kind of a rebel, in the
mm,
sense that he has these ideas that are not necessarily what the TVA is really stands for,
mm,
Right.
and yeah,
And
he's
he's
got
willing to take a chance on Loki.
yeah, yeah, especially that whole thing towards the end where while Loki's he actually gives the reason for me he gave the reason why he showed Loki's sacred timeline
Mm.
to him, because he said that you were meant to be this one side, this one person that would necessitate others becoming a
Their
better
best self.
version
Yeah.
of themselves, right? And then
that was
and
your job.
yeah, that
That
was
was
his job, no? And Loki took that to mean that he is the villain. He
the
is
villain.
the
Yeah.
yeah, the villain of the story. And then Mobius comes back with, I don't think so.
You're
I don't
more
really
than that.
see it that way.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, he's more than that.
And this is
And I actually agree with him. I will go a little philosophical here. That this is actually for me. This is actually this whole 6 episodes is going to take us through Loki's hero's journey.
okay.
Yeah.
But a different
Uh,
hero's journey, you reckon, compared to his journey through the dark world all the way until Endgame.
Ragnarok.
it,
Uh,
well,
Endgame.
I think that this hero's journey for Loki will have more time to breathe,
Mm.
only because we have 6 episodes of focusing just
Of
on Loki,
only him.
right? And even the imagery so kind of supports that. You have your hero, quote unquote, your protagonist,
Mm.
You have your protagonist who is at this he's at the he's got this personality. We meet Loki, the arrogant, self-absorbed, self-righteous, whatever, ambitious,
Fury
uh,
God.
yeah,
God of mischief.
God of mischief, and then he falls from grace. He's placed in a position. He's placed in a situation that in circumstances that are out of his control, and
Mm.
he slowly feels he actually literally falls
Mm.
into that situation. He goes into the room, gets disrobed, falls into the next room,
Yes.
and then he has signs that he signs his statements, and he
His
falls into the
affidavit
next
of
room.
everything that he've said.
Yeah, he keeps on falling,
Yeah.
diba? And then when you look at the elevator, the level that he actually falls into is the top of the TVA SYF, because you see that when they go out into the window into the corridor, and he keeps on going down.
Mm.
So for me, that's him. That's Loki, from who he was, and then he keeps on falling. He keeps on seeing that he's powerless. He sees that he's powerless. He tries to summon his magic, but they just all laugh at him,
Yep.
Mm.
and he figures out that the Infinity Stones don't work in this realm,
Mm.
and then the Tesseract doesn't work. So he's broken down, and that's what Mobius is actually doing. He's showing this to Loki. He's showing what actually does happen to Loki to break him down, so that later on, like what Paul said, it was a recruitment move. He was recruiting Loki, but he had to break down the arrogance of Loki, and he had to do it very fast. That's why he had to show everything. Although
Oh my god.
he was cut because of the whole attempt to escape thing. But then again, Loki comes back. He watches the rest of the
Yeah.
video,
Yeah.
and everything just hits him right away. Yeah, and
One fell
then
sweep.
yeah,
Everything that every single pain that his
the
self
cells that actually
was already
live and die.
challenged by Mobius. The self that was familiar with the powers that is the Infinity Stones, that's his magic, his charm, was already stripped away from him by Mobius, and then at the same time, all that the people that he valued, the people he thought that were his enemies, but he really cared for, he gets to see what eventually will happen to them, and this one breaks him down even further.
Mm.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. So episode one was already setting up a rise in the next 5 episodes. What is that? What you're saying? We
Yeah.
will for the
Yeah.
next 5 episodes. We'll now
Uh,
see a
yeah.
different Loki slowly find his
Slowly,
way,
slowly
in,
becoming a hero.
but a different
Slowly
hero.
becoming
I think.
something.
Yeah,
I'm gonna.
as
Slowly
something.
becoming something different.
Yes,
Exactly.
just like
Exactly.
Arrow.
Oh my
Has
gosh.
to be something
This is a Marvel discussion. Nah, that's all
different.
right. That's all right.
Get your Arrowverse stuff out of here.
That's okay. One thing I did like to yes, pointing out to the T-shirt. Yeah, represent. Um,
Snyder ata yun eh.
um, one thing I do want to really quickly point out is that we see a very familiar term pop up really quick
Hmm.
when Miss Minute was explaining what could happen, what happens whenever a variant steps away from the timeline. And it's a very familiar term. We've seen it before. It's what we call the Nexus event.
Yeah.
When was the last time we saw this? In
WandaVision.
WandaVision. Obviously. We already have our first tie in to the WandaVision. And because when we were doing our breakdown of WandaVision in that bigger discussion about the MCU TV series, we were saying that hey, the story will continue in the next Doctor Strange movie in the
Right.
Multiverse of Madness, and right now we're saying that Loki will have an even bigger impact. I like it that we're already seeing how WandaVision is also has also established that terminology so that it doesn't feel foreign anymore. It just
Yeah.
it becomes like an aha moment that the TVA may possibly be interested in Wanda Maximoff slash the Scarlet Witch when she starts unleashing her Nexus power, right? To bridge or to pull from all of these various multiverses in the what we assume is her search for her children, her non-existent
Yep.
children that she willed into existence. So it'll be cool when that
Mhm.
happens. Um, final thoughts, I guess. Let's do two things with final thoughts. Let's let's end the show. Let's go towards the end of the show because there's a slight cliffhanger there. It wasn't very cliffhangery towards the end. We were like, yeah, cool. We get to see this whoever it is they're Mobius is running after this this murderer which is the entire reason why we are seeing variant Loki get recruited,
Hmm.
and we find out that it's a Loki,
Loki.
another
Yeah.
variant Loki. So this is where the variant terminology becomes more important. It'll be interesting how they'll call. What if they all look the same? That'll be so confusing.
You know what? I don't think so. I don't think they're gonna all look the same. I have a feeling, I don't know this, and I hope they do it. I have a feeling they're gonna look back at all the casting calls they had for Loki. Probably start getting
Other
other
people.
people.
Well,
You know, we
the
might get surprised, right? We might get a Chris Hemsworth Loki.
Did he ever try for Loki? That
no,
would be
it
funny.
was it was Hiddleston who tried out for Thor.
Yes.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I
Sorry,
know that
sorry.
that's a
I
fact.
thought there was another actor who was casted for another role who tried out for Loki. Okay.
Yeah.
No, but I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, totally. I can see what you're saying. One of the things we did point out in when we were talking about again going back to that other episode about the MCU TV series is that the casting for when we were seeing those stills
Mm.
before the trailers were being shown that we still don't know who DiMartino's character is. She's been casted. IMDb is not showing her as anything
Yeah.
just yet. So obviously, an obvious indication that she will be. She is
It would be
probably
bad.
the big bad. Yeah, I mean there are two
Yeah.
characters here, but I am still leaning. Richard E. Grant hasn't been identified as which character either, but I'm still very heavily leaning on Lady Loki showing up and being our big
Yeah.
bad for this
Yeah.
episode for this series. So that'll be cool.
It kind of makes you wonder what because the variants occur when there are decision points that vary from the sacred timeline.
Mm,
Right.
mm.
What decision point created this Loki?
When she
The
decided to
Lady
have a sex
Loki.
change. Um, my feeling is that this is not just a timeline variant of this
It
timeline.
might be like different worlds. It's
Correct. I might
Yeah.
think she is a variant from a different
different time, different world, different
Different
universe.
multiverse.
multiverse.
She's from the multiverse. She has to be. And this is where that war, that multiverse,
Although
multi.
wasn't Lady Loki like Loki just cursed?
I have no idea.
In the
I've never read.
comics,
I've
I'm
never
not
read
sure.
that. I have no idea.
Because then it may have been like a decision that he made. Then he got cursed and then turned into a woman, diba? It's
The
gonna
same
be
as
something. Probably if
another
they
one
didn't want to
of.
touch multiverse, they could do it that way.
Yeah, no, let's go with multiverse route.
I want I I want to see a Loki wielding Mjolnir.
Oh,
But
Mm.
but he's
then why would he be a
worthy.
variant if he was worthy?
He would be a variant because
It's
there's the sacred timeline. Again, there's the
Exactly.
sacred timeline.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
he's
what's
made
supposed to
different
happen.
decisions and all that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's quite
So
possible.
even if that person is heroic, since that person made a different decision from the sacred
Yes.
timeline, he'll still be a
Yeah.
variant.
Basically, what the timekeepers say is that everything is already written in stone.
Okay.
Anything that happens that
Deviates
messes
from
with
it.
the timeline,
Yep.
that makes it that branches it out, those are variants.
So the reason why they know all of this is because they're approaching the timeline from the end. They already know what's going to be happening.
More
And
like, I
they're
think,
chasing down people who
Veer
die
away
who,
from
who
that
veer away
sacred
because
timeline.
they already know the end result.
Yes.
So they're just looking for what happens in the middle. I mean, the investigation's basically going back.
that's one
Okay.
possibility. I mean, I'm assuming as people who are beyond time, it doesn't really matter. They could probably see everything all at the same time. But I think it's more like they're seeing it the same way that it's been shown in that retro TV, wherein we see the timeline branching, but it's moving from left to right. It's a sideways
Right.
view. I think that's how the
Mhm.
timekeepers are a view of time is.
But
So it's quite possible that they may not actually know what's occurring at the end of that timeline.
Okay.
I'm assuming it's their goal for that timeline to never end, because it ending is probably catastrophic for the universe.
So as long as there's no apocalyptic event that's
Quite
gonna
possibly,
happen,
yeah.
they can just let the timeline
It could go
run its
forever and
course.
ever and ever. Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
So,
So
they're protecting it that way. Okay.
it's quite possible that's what the Miss Minutes reference to, the timekeepers holding onto the timeline as like a piece of long thread that they're protecting. So that's the sacred timeline. We protect this. We prevent anything that can break it, which is variants, and that's why the TVA exists. So
but yeah, you have to take it into give it a little bit of a sort of political context that this whole idea of the timekeepers dictating, okay, this is what's supposed to happen.
Mm.
It goes back into how in the US right now there you have like media saying that these are facts.
Right.
These are the facts. This is what happens. This is what anything that's not within this narrative is
Mm.
fake news.
Right.
So it goes back into that. I think that again that goes back to the sinister thing that Paul and I have
Yeah,
been feeling,
cool.
that there is something there, that there's something that the timekeepers are holding on to.
and Loki will rise up. Um,
Yes.
so theories. Now
Take control.
we're getting into the theories now. So we have a theory that Mobius and Mobius is probably is one of those revolutionaries, but are kind of still working inside the system,
Mm.
finding the opportunity to subvert it from the inside. Excuse me. And then we also have that theory that a TVA and the Timekeepers aren't as noble as the very
Hmm.
cute 50s inspired
Miss
commercial
The
Mint.
is
Pip
making it
Boy
sound.
animation.
Exactly. And I totally agree with that. And then we have also that theory that the sinister version of Loki, who's going around killing
The
all of these
variant.
Minutemen, the other variant is Lady
Yeah.
Loki. I mean, how excited are we for the rest of this series?
Huh?
Oh, I have one more theory. I have one more
Oh,
theory.
sorry. Yes, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, and it ties into that scene in France. Uh,
The
yes,
devil.
yes,
The devil is in the
yes.
details. He's back. He's back,
He's
ladies and
back,
gentlemen. He
baby.
is back.
Mephisto is back, and
And he uses fire.
this is my
He
super
burned
wild.
the guys.
Yes, this is my super wild theory.
Ooh,
The variant Loki becomes Mephisto,
Mephisto.
and then the variant protagonist Loki comes face to face with that Loki, defeats that Loki, and he himself becomes Mephisto.
Oh,
That's how Hiddleston will be able to stay in the MCU, not as Loki, but now as Mephisto. That's my theory, ladies and gentlemen. That's my theory.
I love it.
I
I
I
know
don't know
it's
about that.
I know it's stupid, but
Dude,
I
it's a
love it.
theory.
It's
Oh,
too it. Yeah, but
Dude,
I
I'm not going for plausibility. It's a
no, no, no.
theory.
I understand. But I don't really want Mephisto in the MCU. It just
Why not? He's
I
like
don't
one of
know
the
it.
big. He's got ties to.
the
He
breadcrumbs
had
are all
ties to
over the
Thanos.
place.
He
Paul,
had ties
don't
to Thanos.
fight.
He has ties to
Do
Wanda.
not fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but I don't want Mephisto per se. I mean, I'm okay with Blackheart. I'm okay with Shumagorath. I'm okay with Sithone, but Mephisto is just Mephisto. He has ties to Spider-Man. I don't really, I don't know.
That's
Anyway,
all right.
but I have a feeling because I was watching the not post credit, but the credits. There was a form for apocalyptic event
I
or
know.
like a potential
I wanted
apocalyptic
to
event.
ask about that. I
So
could.
I
Everything
actually
was
have a
blurry
feeling.
about it, so I have no idea what
Yeah,
else it said.
I couldn't make out anything as well, but I have a feeling there is going to be an apocalyptic event that they're going to prevent
Hmm?
because the variant Loki, the bad variant Loki, has been picking up those what are
Yeah.
those refresh time
The ones
refresh
that resets
the the the
the scene.
explosive
Yeah.
and we don't know what happens. Remember the scene we left the scene together with Loki and the Minutemen,
Yep.
and we don't know what happened to the Mongolians who were there
The
when
word they're
that thing
using is
exploded.
pruning, which seems to be very, very aggressive. And we've seen bits of this happen when B-15, um, almost hits Corey, instead hits the
Yeah.
cart, and
And
it's
that
actually
other guy.
erased. And the other guy you have in the line gets erased from time. I'm assuming it no longer exists. I think that is the fate of anybody deemed guilty and judged by Renslayer to be
Being a variant.
erased. Yeah, that they're
Yeah.
pruned. So it's quite
Yeah.
possible that those explosives they're not as friendly as the Men in Black memory erasing flashlights.
Exactly.
Doesn't seem to be
And
like that.
they're orange, the same light that the staffs that the Minutemen.
Are using?
Uh,
Yeah, you're right.
it
Those
it could
batons.
be that people affected by them become part of the TVA.
that could be.
Like I mean, they become reset, right? So they get thrown to TVA. Once they get there, they're given like a new life, and they'll be like staff of the TVA.
It's quite possible because a variant
Yeah.
has interacted with you, causing you to veer off from your
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
timeline. Oh
So
my
the only
gosh,
solution is to clean up that. It's like that.
gosh.
It's very surgical. It's precise, but you have to cut everything around that area,
Oh my
right?
god, I never thought of it that way. That is that is so bad. Oh,
So
wow.
what they do is they cut everything that happens from when Loki's portal opens up
Yeah,
Arrival,
in the
yeah.
sky,
right.
Shoots him
and
out
everyone
like
who
a
sees that.
shoots him
Yeah,
like a
everyone who's
comet.
interacted with him as
Or
as a
even
variant.
like, say for example, if I'm a shepherd in that field, I'm not even there, and I'm not in the proximity, but I see the portal opening in the sky.
And it
That
affects
will
me.
affect somehow
Oh.
my
Butterfly
decisions.
effect. Haven't you seen Ashton Kutcher? He turned horrible in that movie.
Yes.
Yeah, but then it begs the question why Owen Wilson asked the child to leave the church. They're gonna explode the
Yeah.
church, right?
Yeah.
But he saved. If that's the case, then he saved the kid,
Yeah.
Do you
right?
think there's
So
some
And the
I
sort
don't
of
kid
know.
and the
there's
kid already has a
A
significant amount of
kablooey,
interaction.
he already
and
has
he
a
Social
he
ate
was a
that.
gum.
kablooey.
Yeah, the kablooey gum.
Yeah.
I mean,
So yeah.
do you reckon that that explosive is even does it matter where it is? Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it just
Probably not.
Oh,
just
but
Probably
so
not.
so basically, it really finds who's tied to that variant and cuts them out like
yeah,
that,
maybe
something like so
no
very
Possibly.
sort of
very surgical. Maybe
It's
yeah.
not. It's not limited by area.
no
Yeah.
no. So are we all super excited for next Wednesday to find out what happens next? Because we now know we've now established variant Loki as the next and his hero redemption arc, um, and then we're obviously gonna find. It's quite possible that our expectation that this will become a quantum leap kind of per episode. They'll be jumping through different points in time, trying to catch whoever this evil variant is,
Mm.
and shenanigans will happen because we still have to see President Loki. We still have to see uh,
Mad Max.
the explosion of Vesuvius. I think that was
Mm.
like Vesuvius. So there will be these things that's gonna happen, and it'll be the
We
adventure.
did already see the DB Cooper thing,
Yeah,
I
which
but the
know.
DB Cooper
Oh
is
it's
my
not
kind
a
of
gosh,
variant.
that
yeah,
The
it's
was
kind
DB
of sad.
Cooper is part
It's
of
kind of
his
sad that
actual timeline.
yeah, it's kind of sad that that's how they used that.
I
You
know
know, it's
the
like
same. No, sorry, it was just he lost a bet, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Heimdall was in it, was in on it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm.
Ah, well. Thank you very much, guys, for spending the time tonight to go through this episode. We're gonna go through the rest of the 5 episodes as they come out,
Yep.
and we will see where the story takes us. Where is our hero going to be the tragic hero that we're expecting him to be, or will he, you know, decide to rebel against the system and become Mephisto? We will see.
No,
Yes,
no.
yes, yes,
No, no.
It doesn't.
yes, yes.
It doesn't matter.
Because
We're here
come on, take a look. Look at Tom Hiddleston. He looks like a very good cast. You would if he was not Loki, you would cast him as Mephisto.
as Mephisto.
Okay.
I have no idea what Mephisto looks like. I was willing to bet that it was the rabbit, but hey, that's an open. One thing though that's giving me hope for the rabbit is that when Kevin Feige inserted the sequence wherein Loki takes the Tesseract and vanishes, that's how many years ago? It was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. We may still see that rabbit come back. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
When Kevin Feige decides on something, there's a reason for it. In Feige, we believe. So I guess until we can cap the quick react it was great. Until next week, thank you very much, gentlemen, and thank you everybody who's been listening with us. Hope you stick around for our succeeding reacts.
The,
It-
the the next 5 weeks. Over
for
the
the
next
next 5 weeks.
five weeks.
It'll be an interesting ride. We're
Yeah.
here in for all the rides. We're here all for the ride, and I'm pretty certain we'll be enjoying it every single minute of it.
Yeah.
Thanks again, gentlemen. I guess
Anytime.
we'll cap it here. We will see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.